A lot of parents may put too much emphasis on their children's social lives, which has this kind of knock-on effect where that atmosphere of competition and comparison occurs, because it can actually impact a child's self-esteem. And that can then be damaging. Parents can unintentionally create an environment where children are constantly comparing themselves to others and striving for perfection. And that's obviously got the potential to be very damaging for a child's confidence. So there's three things that I think could potentially help. Welcome back to another Warrior Academy podcast episode. Today we're going to be talking about social lives, specifically answering the question, are social lives fostering unhealthy competition? So often we see that a lot of parents are or can be overly invested in their children's social lives. And that can actually create this kind of environment of competition, but also comparison with other children. So a lot of parents may put too much emphasis on their children's social lives, which has this kind of knock-on effect where that atmosphere of competition and comparison occurs. And that can then be damaging because it can actually impact a child's self-esteem. So by pushing your children to excel, right, pushing your children to excel in activities, while it can be really healthy, when you over-push a child to excel in activity or sport or academics or even social circles, parents can unintentionally create an environment where children are constantly comparing themselves to others and striving for perfection. And we see it on social media all the time, right? Striving for perfection. And, you know, if we think that we see it a lot, our children see it even more, right? The kind of unicorn of success for each area of our children's lives is kind of glamorized all the time. There's this constant seeking of perfection. And that's obviously got the potential to be very damaging for a child's confidence. It can lead to them feeling inadequate or lead to them feeling judged. So what can we do as parents to avoid that? What can we do as parents to avoid, pushing too much of the social side for our children and then impacting their confidence as a result? So there's three things that I think could potentially help. The first is to encourage your child to focus on their own personal goals and progress rather than comparing themselves to others. So it's self-focus rather than comparing yourself to other people. So for example, when your child comes home with an A in their maths test or English test or whatever it is, congratulate them for their hard work and dedication to studying. But explain how you're proud of them for improving. That's the main thing, right? You're proud that they've shown an improvement and that they should be proud of themselves too. So it's not necessarily the fact that they actually got the A. It's that they have taken the time and the effort and energy to improve from where they were to where they're going. The focus is on the transition, on the improvement. Just a quick shout out to the guys at Shield who manage this podcast, come up with the strategy behind the podcast, help me schedule interviews as well as do all of the editing and the producing of the podcast. Without them, we wouldn't be able to produce this podcast. If you would like to create your own podcast, I can't recommend the Shield team enough. They have done well over 100 episodes for me over the last few years, and I've been so pleased with the results. So have a look in the description of this video or the podcast episode, and you'll see how to get in touch with them yourself. So the next thing is allowing your child to have a healthy balance of independence and guidance. So for example, when you're with your child and they're making dinner, allow them to lead in choosing the ingredients. I mean, not too far, obviously, with a bit of guidance, but helping you prepare the meal or laying the table, or even giving them guidance, when it's necessary, but letting them come up with the ideas, letting them explore, letting them be creative. And finally, the third thing I would say there is validate your child's feelings. So provide unconditional love and support. So for example, when your child has a disagreement with a friend, validate their feelings and explain that it's okay to have different opinions. Show them that no matter what, you're always going to be there to support them. So I hope that was an interesting approach to the question of are social lives fostering unhealthy competition? What do you think? What are your comments on that? Do you feel like we are pushing our children too much to excel? Do you think that's got a really negative impact on their confidence? And what are the three things you would do as a parent or you would suggest to other parents to help them prevent that from happening or just to improve their relationship with their child around this, right? I feel like as parents, we've got this uphill battle to support our children against perfectionism. Human beings aren't perfect. And the reality is, our children are constantly told they need to be perfect. And I think that there are certain things we can do as parents to support that and prevent that from happening. And a huge part of that is focus on self-development, character development, but ultimately the improving side of things, rather than the final outcome being, you've got to be this perfect thing. It's more, we're all in this constant pursuit of developing who we are as people. And I think that's the most healthy way to approach everything. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your comments. And if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel and the Warrior Academy podcast as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.